It's just going to be, oops, I did it again. Oh, I did the recording. Oh, okay. I think I did it again. I did it okay. I'm seeing all the hearts. I'm seeing all the love. I love this. So guess what we're going to do today? We're going to do a free life coach session. So how does that sound? Does that sound good? Let's see. So I want a lot of interaction today, and I would love to hear what you have to say about this topic. So this is just us. This is not the show. I'm trying something new to see if this is the direction that the classroom needs to go in. And so all of us together, we are going to, I know, you do get a top badge, Tracy. Okay, so for those of you who are watching later on YouTube or listening, I think I'll put this on podcast as well. For those of you who are part of the show, I want you to know that if you want to be a part of the live audience, you can interact. So if you have any questions about what I'm going to talk about today, feel free to write it down. I need to click this so that I can see everybody. And I cannot see you unless you say who you are, who's there, where you're watching from. I am excited to see Tracy, and let's see who else is Tracy and Tracy. She's the only one that says that she's here. That's why you are the top fan. Okay, so today I'm trying something new, and what I'm going to do is there's no music, there's no interruptions, it's just us taking off the mask. If I could have done this without makeup, I would have done it without makeup. I just want to get real, and let's do it together. Because as you know, it is my sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I am going to take this hour or this time that we have together to talk about victimization, how we victimize ourselves, how we become powerless with our own thoughts. Daniel, hello. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you being on. Anybody who has a question will be able to ask, and then I will address it between when I'm able to look down, okay? So right now, I want to talk about the things that we think, our thoughts, our limited beliefs, how we take everything personal, and we try to say, well, I don't know what it is that I want. Well, we do. What if we knew what we wanted? What if we knew what we wanted to create because we were already creating it? So I wanted to give you an example of this. Is just recently, I started taking radio show off of my title. If you go to my YouTube page, on top, radio show is crossed out. And what I've been focusing on is a classroom, being part of a classroom, being part of this tribe that brings us to this classroom. So with that in mind, I want to start talking about how we develop our subconscious thoughts. So Bruce Lipton had come on the show, back in 2015, and started talking about how when we are in utero, we start feeling our parents. We're in theta mode when we're born till the age of 7. For me, it's 10 because I'm a little bit immature. So what we do is we record everything we see in that little third eye, everything we see, and we record it. And those recordings become part of our subconscious thoughts. So there are 70,000 thoughts we have in a day. Some people have less thoughts, some people have more thoughts, but an average is about 70,000 thoughts. Out of those 70,000 thoughts, do you guys know how many of those are reoccurring? I've said this before on the show. 90% of the thoughts we think we had yesterday and the day before and the day before. So 80% of those thoughts, 80% of them are negative thoughts. These negative thoughts are disempowering, and they make us feel like we're not enough, that we don't know what we think we know. We'll say things like, I don't know what I want to do. But what if you knew what you wanted to do? What would it be? And that's a quick way to get yourself to think. And so thank you so much, Sherry. It's been such a long time since I've seen your name. So thank you, Sherry, for joining us, and Robert for joining us as well. I will take a little break, and then I'll read all your questions. So I want to be able to talk about this word 100% responsibility. Where do our thoughts come from? Again, they come from that moment of conception to the moment we are about 7 to 10 years old. And those are the thoughts that keep going through our mind. But how do we stop? Can we stop the thoughts? The answer is the thoughts are going to be there, whether you know it or not. So with that in mind, what I want to challenge all of you today is to reformat, to reframe, to rewrite these tapes. Do you remember? I don't know how many of you out there remember the cassette tapes that whenever we wanted to record something, we'd wait for the music to come on the radio, and we'd run with our tape recorders and we'd record it. Then we had the ability to record over those tapes. So today, we're going to say the buck stops here. This is where we're going to take ownership, because they say that we create everything, that we are the co-creators. So God is in us, and we co-create our existence. Like, for example, I've been writing, crossing out the radio show. Is it that subconsciously I don't want to do radio anymore? Is it that I just want to be an internet show? Who knows? Who knows what this is about? But if you look at my brand now, it's crossed out. So who knows? To be continued with that one. So there are, and I've talked about this, 4 questions that are on my responsibility page. And for those of you who can go to the responsibility page at whenyouneedafriend.com, there are 4 questions. So how many of you right now feel helpless? Feel like you don't know what your next step is going to be? Feel that you're afraid to take? Maybe you don't know what the next step is going to be, or maybe you're afraid to take the next step. What is it? When was the first time, if you were to go back, when was the first time that you ever felt that you were afraid, that when you took that step, something negative happened to you? Did it happen as a child? Did it happen as an adult? Did it cause embarrassment? Well, guess what? Those thoughts are part of the 70,000. And subconsciously, we are reliving that every time that we are afraid to take a step forward. So with that in mind, I want us to take out a piece of paper and start thinking about the things that perhaps you're afraid of. Maybe someone caused you harm. Maybe you're stuck and you don't know how to take that next step, or what has happened in your life. But the thoughts that we have create our reality. So what is it that you guys want to do? So Tracy, I don't understand what that word is. Ho'opanana? Help me retire my thoughts. Oh, okay. So that's what you do to retire your thoughts. But where do they go? Where do these thoughts go to when you want to retire your thoughts? So here's what we do. We start looking at what we want to create. Let's just look at what we want to create. Let's forget about the 100% responsibility questions. What do you want? We all know what we don't want. We don't want to marry an alcoholic. We don't want to fall. We don't want to fail. But what do we want? Every thought In our mind, every thought has been planted there from an experience. That creates more of our reality. So if you want to create wealth and abundance, don't be looking at the fact that you're broke. Figure out ways that you can be abundant. And every day, every morning, every night before you go to bed, that abundance is felt to the point where it creates, first it's a thought, then it's a feeling, and that feeling becomes an action. So if we were to take these thoughts, the feelings, and the actions, and we were to grab them from our brain and put them in paper, all I want you to ask yourself today, what do you want? You don't have to, if you want to answer what you want, you say this walking to work every day. Very good. Very good, Narelle. So every time you focus on what you want, you get more of what you want. Let me give you an example. I wanted to be on time, and I knew that in order for me to be on time, I must hit every green light. So what we normally gravitate to is what could go wrong. Like, I don't want to get the red lights, so we focus on not getting the red lights. So our brain doesn't know the difference between do or don't, fact or fiction. It just knows what you're focusing on. So it doesn't hear and it doesn't register, don't get the red lights. All it's focusing on is red lights. And that was something, once I got that, it completely changed the way I thought. So what do we focus on? We focus on green lights. If we don't want to get fired in a job, the fear of being fired is going to cause you to act, to think thoughts that are negative, to feel like you've already been fired, and then you're going to act like, hey, I'm just going to get fired anyway. So it's so important. These thoughts, these 70,000 thoughts that we have in our head, let's start taking them out of wherever you are feeling them and putting it down in paper. What is it that you want? So if you're trying to make a decision in your life that's going to set you free, that it's going to get you what it is that you want, then it is time to stop and say, okay, I don't want to be sick, but what is it that you want? Sometimes I don't want to get diabetes, or I don't want to get heart disease, or I don't want to get cancer. No, that's more negative thinking. What we want to focus on is, I want to be healthy. I am healthy. And you thank your body for being healthy. You thank the universe for giving you all green lights. You thank the universe for helping you, and whoever is your guides, whatever it is that you believe, you start thanking them and acting as if it's already happened. But guess what? The thought alone without a deadline, or the thought alone without the action, is not going to get you anything but a thought. You've got to follow through with that thought. So you start with the end in mind, and you start writing what those thoughts are. So again, if you guys want to say, let's see, I can sing it in Japanese now also. What is it? I'm missing something here. I'm going to just take a stop here. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I'm glad that you think I raised the best topics. And Narelle, I'm glad that you are focusing on the positive thoughts. And I can sing it in Japanese now also. I was in belief last year that I couldn't write, read properly, etc. Very negative thoughts. We are so blessed to have the best people in the world in our life. Absolutely. So when we start being grateful, I mean, that is the huge antidote to everything. Gratitude is the antidote for negative thoughts. So even if something that you're going through at this point isn't something that you are happy that you have, that you're going through, Just being grateful that it's not worse is really, really good. It's very, very good. So that's a good start. And thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the love that I'm getting right now. But here's the thing. Loving yourself is crucial. Loving yourself and believing in yourself. And there is people that come to my house. They have shared that everywhere they look, there's a positive affirmation. And I want to share a story. For those of you, I don't know if any of you know who Louise Hay is, but Louise Hay is one of my superheroes. When I met Louise Hay, I was just like a little girl meeting her favorite star. It's amazing the people that I become awestruck are not the typical people. I've always loved self-help books. I've always read them. If I was going to read, that's what I was going to read. I very rarely read for pleasure because I was curious. I was very curious. I just didn't know how to use all these different things I was learning. They were all here. But it wasn't until I applied them in my own life and understood them for what they were and how little by little my life started to change, because then I stopped feeling like a victim. I felt like a victim of my DNA because I had asthma. I had felt like a victim of my circumstance. Maybe people were doing me wrong. I felt like a victim. And you can, like maybe someone said something nasty to you, and now I'm going to take it personal as well as feel like a victim. So we do these things for ourselves. So every thought that we think is a manifestation. So what have you been manifesting? Sadness, depression, sickness, anxiety? What have you been manifesting? So if your thoughts rule your life, if your brain is the command center of your universe, what is the brain creating in your body? So if you're afraid that you're going to get sick and you're focused on your illness, even if you are sick, then chances are you're going to keep focusing on your sickness. So my husband has this little rolling of the eyes whenever I'm not feeling well, and he knows I'm not well because maybe I'm moving a little slower, or maybe because I made a noise or whatever it is. He'll ask me, "How are you doing, honey?" And I'll say, "I'm doing great. My body is healing. My body is feeling great." Or it's going towards healing. He rolls his eyes and goes, "Great, you're not going to tell me how you really feel." He already knows how I feel. But do I have to go deeper into that? You know how you feel. You know how other people feel because you feel their interaction, their frequency, their vibe that they're putting out. You can look somebody or hear somebody's voice. I was just talking to a friend, and I always could tell when there's stress in her life just by the way she says hello to me. Just by the way she says hello, I can download a bunch of stuff. I know what's going on. But it's up to that person to say, this is what I need. This is what I want to know. This is what I want to do. And once we realize that that is the magic, that shift, then we change the way we look at things. Like I read before, Max Planck was the original creator of this quote, but Wayne Dyer used it a lot. And I heard him say it: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. What is it that you want to change today? Is it a relationship that you want to change? Is it a thought process? Do you want to change lack in your life? What is it that you want to change? I want to see what those are. I'm going to take a little break now, and I'm going to look down. Yes, thoughts are very, very powerful and blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you for the blessing. So here's the thing. Only you and you, the God in you, the desires in you. And there's a scripture verse in Romans 8. I love the scripture Romans 8. And there's a section on there that says that even, and I'm paraphrasing right now, even when you don't know how you feel, your spirit groans. The groaning of the spirit speaks to a higher power. But what are we groaning? Are we groaning what we don't want? Are we groaning what we want? So allow the spirit to groan, but here's how we override it, is by realizing, okay, I'm going to allow this to go through me. I'm going to allow to feel the feelings, but I'm not going to allow it to stay in me. I'm going to shift. I'm going to shift because I want to start focusing on what I want. So what do we want today? Do we want to feel less like a victim? Do we want to feel more empowered? So let's go back to my my 4 questions of taking 100% responsibility, which is where you go from that victim mentality. And I'm going to use this as an example. So a long time ago, I was married. I was married before, and I was married for 7 years. And when I married this person, before I walked down that aisle, I said to my dad, Daddy, I don't think I can let go. And my dad said, I don't think I can let go, Lily, either. But he pushed me down the aisle, and there I was getting married. I was looking at the fact that the invitations were sent. There were lots of people there, and I made a commitment, and I followed through on that commitment. I knew, my body knew, with every ounce in me, that it was the wrong thing to do. Or was it? Was it a wrong thing to do? So this is where I'm going to take you in my journey, and hopefully you'll feel yourself and hear yourself in this. And I'm going to try to make this as quickly as I possibly can. So as I married this person, I realized very quickly that I can get an annulment. But again, I married for life. And baby number 1, and then baby number 2. That person did not love me the way I deserve to be loved. And possibly I did not love that person the way I love my current husband today. So maybe I just didn't know what true love was about. So the first question, so here I am. I'm divorced at the age of 28 with 2 beautiful kids, a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old. That's the age he was, my youngest, when my ex-husband walked away. But he didn't just walk away from me. He also walked away from our children. So let's go to the questions of responsibility. So what is the first question of taking 100% responsibility and not feeling like a victim? Because I could feel like a victim. He left me. He left the kids. Well, how did I create it is the first question that you ask. How did I create it? Well, this question, when you ask this question, is without shame, blame, fault, or duty. No shame, no blame, no fault or duty. So how did I create it? I married him. I married him. That's it. Fact. You can't argue fact. Like you cannot argue 1 + 1 = 2. You can't say 1 + 1, I can't believe it equals 2. No. Why doesn't it equal 5? You can't argue facts. 1 + 1 = I married someone. That was it. Now, question number 2 is, what are the gifts and lessons? The gifts and lessons. So the gifts and lessons here are that I finally, I have these 2 beautiful kids. I was just grateful for them. I've always wanted. If you asked me when I was a baby, my only doll that I have still, the head popped off because all I ever wanted to be was a mommy. All I was raised to be was a mommy, and that's the best job you could ever hold. But here's the thing. Later on, I married my current husband of 25 years, and I will be celebrating in July 25 years. And we decided that we were going to have children. Well, actually, I wanted to have children. He said, okay, let's look into it. And in my mind, it was, yeah. So once we started looking into having children, we realized that I couldn't have children. So let me go back to the gifts and lessons. Wow. Was it an error that I made? No. I really, truly wanted to have a child. And I ended up having two. And not only that, when I married my husband, I inherited such beautiful. So I have two kids that were born in my womb and two kids that were born in my heart. So I ended up getting more, but I could not have children after a certain amount of time. And so here is going back to my gifts and lessons. Was this a mistake? Was this my fault? No, this was part of my process. This was part of the plan. And so I ended up having this wonderful, like, how could I dislike this individual? Because I actually hated him at one point in my life. I wished it was easier for him to die than for me to divorce him. But I know that that was how I was feeling at the time. But in my growth process and learning how to shed all those layers of resentment and shed all those layers that eventually lead to illness, by the way, I learned to love that individual for the gifts they gave me. And I learned so much about relationships from that experience. And now meeting my husband, being able to see, wow, that we couldn't have had children together if I would have married him without having children. So that's the gifts and lessons. Now, the third question on taking responsibility is what's going to be different. What's going to be different? Well, what's going to be different was when I married somebody that I am going to be married to for the rest of their life. I don't want to be married just for the sake of marriage. I want to be happily married. Happily married. So that became my gift, my lesson, my journey. All of it has been a process by which I can, instead of going back and say, this guy left me, no, this was just perfect. And so what was going to be different was I learned to really, truly love. And I remember walking down the aisle with my dad when I married Robert. And I said to my dad, Daddy, I think I can let go now. And my dad said, I can let go too, Lily. That was 25 years ago. So if you think about it, it's all perfect. Now, the fourth question of taking responsibility is taking your gifts and lessons and everything that you learned in life and using it for the greater good. Remember that Romans 8 chapter that I said to you, that all that the groaning of the Spirit communicates at a level that we do not understand. And even if we think that the Spirit is broken, think again. We might think it is broken, but the Spirit always is the Spirit. It is always whole. And we've got to gravitate to that wholeness within us so that we can look at, the fourth question. And when we're fully evolved, how can I use this for the greater good, which is part of Romans 8 that says all things work out for the greater good. And that's why we had to go through what we had to go through. Was it a mistake for me to marry my first husband? Possibly not. No, it's not. Not even possibility. So what I want us to understand is that here we go thinking, I'm afraid to fail. But what if that failure leads you to your greatest crowning discovery? The one that makes you beyond understand that everything is perfect, that all things work out for the greater good. What if that was part of the process? So we've got to trust the process. So I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to see what you're saying right now. Okay. Yes, yes, the song, right, Tracy? My number one fan. Right now, Tracy is the number one fan. Who's going to beat Tracy to be the number one fan? And you know what? At the end of this month, whoever's the number one fan, they're going to get a wonderful book from me. It's called Everyday Spirit, which I love. So at the end of this month, whoever's my number one fan is going to get. So let's start being do whatever it is, because you got the top fan. I didn't even know that existed, by the way, Tracy. Okay. And she's in England, so this is heard worldwide, everywhere. Okay, so your warrior spirit, Lillian, for sure. The most beautiful truther in the world. That is why you are the best, Tracy. And it is divine timing. Thank you so much for saying that. When I was 10 years old, I heard a homily, and the priest said, there are people who are depressed or sad because they don't have a matching new pair of shoes. But if you look at your neighbor, they may not have feet. I learned at the age of 10 that things could always be worse. And so I am so grateful for everything. Yeah, maybe I don't like it at the time, but if you trust the process, and that is a great way. So those questions that I went through are in my 100% responsibility page. And I want you to go to the 100% responsibility page and answer those questions. So if there's something in your spirit that's been groaning, that's just been groaning, and you don't want to look at it because it's painful, think again, let's shift the perspective. That if you think that is painful to deal with it, one and done, or maybe 3 times and done, but if you go 25 years or 30 years dragging that pain everywhere you go, now that will manifest into disease. As we've all learned on the Lillian McDermott radio show, that only 1% of illness is due to our DNA, our environment, toxins, all those different things. But that majority of illness is due to a past trauma. What is it that you can take ownership? Because here's the beautiful thing. Responsibility has a bum rap. Oh, I'll take responsibility. Fine, I'll do it. Nobody else will do it. I'll take responsibility. Well, the reality is, if we created it, we can uncreate it. Isn't that fabulous? Isn't that empowerment? You go from feeling like someone did something to me. They married me. They gave me kids. They walked away, not only from me, from the kids. I could get stuck on that. And it could ruin my health, my entire life, the way I feel about men, the way I feel about marriage. It could have ruined me. But you can't stay stuck there. Where we need to go is allow it to be aware. Just be aware that this is what you feel. I can honestly say I had never felt hatred. I never even allowed that emotion or those words out of my mouth until I went through a divorce, until I went through my separation. And now, guess what? I can coach people going through separation and divorce, and I can coach people on how to stay married. Because let me tell you, 25 years marriage, we've seen it all. We've seen most. And we've dealt through it. That's another blessing, another gift and lesson. So what are the gifts and lessons in your life, my dear friends? My viewing friends at whenyouneedafriend.com and Lillian's radio show? What are the things that you don't want to look at today, but you can make a commitment? Can you make a commitment? Can you make a commitment at just taking one thing every day and say, I am going to unravel this ugly paper and find a crown, a jewel that allows me to feel how grateful I am that I have these beautiful kids, that I have my beautiful stepchildren, that I don't even call them stepchildren. I'm just saying that so that you will know the difference. That I'm grateful for all the arguments, for the disagreements, for the time that I signed a contract that ended up biting me on the 89th day. They loved everything I was doing, but there was a clause that if they let me go before the 89th day, they didn't have to pay me my commission that I worked very hard for. But from that, I texted the people I was working with, my clients, and I let them know that I was no longer there. And that led me, the first doctor, that led me to starting my company. The first doctor I texted, and I said, number one neurosurgeon, would I never met that guy had it not been for that company that hired me and let me go on the 89th day and kept my commission. And by the way, they told me before they hung up, and by the way, you have a non-compete, so if you do this with anybody else, we will sue you. So I texted the first doctor that I knew we were very close to getting the commission for, and I let him know that I was no longer working for that company. And he texted me, he goes, I'm about to go into surgery. He was a neurosurgeon. And he goes, I don't care what you do. You need to start your own company, and I will be your first client. Had I not gone with that company, I would have never started my first business. Remember, I was raised to be a mom. That was it. And that is the most important job you could ever hold. But there was more in me that I was able to accomplish after my kids were raised, after they left the house. I still have all this life ahead of me. And not only that, I created a campaign for my doctors. Oh yeah, I texted my second doctor and they said the same thing. So before I knew it, I was making more money than what they had offered me that other company. And it was my company. Then I created a campaign. I went on the radio. Someone said, hey, you should go on the radio to do this campaign. And after a 30-minute interview, the owner said, hey, how long have you been doing radio? And I looked at my clock and I went, 30 minutes. And that's when the show started. Had I not made those choices in life. So if you think you're making a mistake, think again. You're taking a step towards that process. And oh my God, I'm looking down. Jason Stevenson, you're watching me? Oh my God, you are so cool. Jason Stevenson. For those of you, you all want to go to Jason Stevenson Meditations at YouTube. He has over 1 million followers. What an honor. And by the way, I'm wearing the watch you gave me. I just absolutely love this man. So, hey, Jason, I haven't looked down in a while. And I am looking at all these. Okay, now I got to go back and stop and look at all this stuff again. So, okay, so Cersei, thank you for your transparency. I needed this divine timing. Oh, sometimes when I speak like this I want to start these little coaching sessions for all of us. This is my way of just saying thank you. Thank you. And be careful, Tracy. I have a feeling that you're gonna have to fight for this #1 fan position. And then Narelle, I hope I'm saying your name right. I used to dwell on the most minor wrongdoings. If someone cut me off in traffic, I would think about it for days. And have you learned to just acknowledge that and say, yes, that really, you know what I do when somebody cuts me off? This is what I instantly go to. This is the tape I rewrote. I rewrote it to say, I've done this to other people without even knowing. Isn't that true? Isn't that something that we all do? We say, oh man, I can't believe you did that to me. But the reality is, how many times have we done it? We've got to stop looking at how to fix other people. When you are upset with somebody that they did something to you, then think about this. What is it about the anger that's raising up in you that reminds you of who you are? Because we see in others who We are. So if you think someone's a jerk, then look at the jerk within you. I was talking to Teal Swan not too long ago, and she said, if you don't like this person for whatever reason, whether they hurt you or they caused harm in the world or whatever, a terrorist even, if you're just so angry with that terrorist, which we have every right to be, that's the moment we can say, okay, how am I a terrorist? Where am I terrorizing myself, others, my dog? You know, how do we become our own terrorists? Am I terrorizing my body by the food I'm eating, by the drink I'm drinking? What is it about that topic that makes you so passionate, so angry, that you just want to rip somebody else to shred? Could it be that that's the you don't want to look at in yourself? And by working it on yourself, then you can accept it in others. Because if you can accept your flaws and imperfections, now we can accept the flaws and imperfections of other people. So if you find yourself being impatient, it's because you don't want to look at that other person, because they are reminding you of the flaws you don't want to look at in yourself. Does that make sense to you guys? And I am going to keep scrolling down. And Jason, lovely to and okay, I'm gonna say, Jason, lovely to see you too. I wish you were like, join me on Zoom. Come on in and join me. And text Ashley and get the Zoom number. She knows it. I'm trying to work so hard to be grateful and acknowledge what I have, not what I don't have. Perfect. That is a great thing to do. You see, this is what part of the coaching session today is all about, is figuring out what you can do. So I wrote an article. So if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out my about Lillian, the articles I've written, I wrote an article called I Am the Solution. We can focus on the problem, but how can I be the solution? What can I do? Again, that word responsibility. It's not my responsibility to get your water. It's not my responsibility to pick up that trash. I love picking up trash at the beach, by the way. Most people don't even know that I do that. But I have a section of my beach that I pick up trash. And if you want to join me to pick trash with me, welcome. I didn't make the mess, but I want to see the beauty. I don't want plastic in the ocean. I don't want all those things. So what do I focus on? I focus on what I want, which is to clean up the beach and the shoreline. Okay, so let me go and Narelle, absolutely right. And Jason, let me see. Everybody's saying, hi, Jason. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Jason. Awesome timing. Is this good for you, Jason? Are you liking this timing and the cop? Oh my God, there's 13. There's 13 comments. Okay, let me go. Let me keep going down. Okay. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to scroll down as often as I can here, because now I have 13 that I have not looked at. So I'm gonna stop for a second. And while I'm doing this, because I want to honor my sponsors. I want to make sure that you know that there are people that believe in the show. And I want to make sure that you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, because I'm telling you right now that I'm thinking that all I want is to do internet radio. And pretty soon a decision is made for just this, us, my sponsors, you guys. How would you like that? I still want my theme song because I want us all to dance. And of course I don't have that because I don't know how to do that yet, but I can have I can figure out how to get that. Because you know what? Here's the bottom line. We were created with everything we need to know, and it is given to us at the moment we need this. Believe this. Believe this to be true. I didn't know how to do a radio show. I did not know how to start a marketing company. I did not know how to write commercials or I did not know how to do half the stuff I know to do today. but I was equipped. God doesn't call the equipped. God equips the called. All of us are called for greater good, for a greater purpose. What are you being called to do today? Perhaps it is to trust the process, to reformat the way you look at someone done me wrong song. That's the song that this person did me wrong, and now I lay me down to sleep. I'm going to take, hold all these thoughts here. I'm going to ignore that I have all these thoughts. I won't be able to sleep. Maybe I'm going to numb a little bit. I'm going to do all this. No, now I lay me down to sleep. What are these things that are going to keep me awake? Is it the tasks? Is it whatever it is? Write it down. I was coaching someone not too long ago. I would say, I don't know, through a year or so ago. They're an avid reader, but they don't get anything done during the day. They don't get anything done during the day, but they read and read and read and read and read. And so, and they read almost all night. They couldn't go to sleep. And so I said to them, instead of just filling your brain with a lot of other stuff, just stop and start dumping. Start dumping the things. Journaling is wonderful. So start journaling about the things, those somebody done, somebody wrong songs that we play in our head, 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of them are reoccurring. 80% of them are negative thoughts. As I said at the beginning of the show, those are negative thoughts. Let's take those negative thoughts, like when Jason comes on the show, I wish he were here right now. He is. And I just, now we're 21 comments. I feel like I'm getting behind. Okay. Okay. So when Jason Stevenson is on the show, cutie Jason, he talks about just allowing those thoughts to go through. So here's what I want to challenge all of us. If you have insomnia, if you have a hard time with sleeping, I want you to dump everything into your journal. But how about if you were to do, instead of dumping everything that went wrong, maybe you can do everything that went right today. A gratitude journal. That's one thing you can do. That's one way you can go. If somebody did something like, I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was, and it was. Maybe you can say who it was, but they said that if somebody cuts them off on the street, that they think about it for 2 or 3 days. Write it down. Write down the questions of responsibility, which is empowerment, because we created that. If we're co-creators and we created that, we can uncreate it. So rewrite it, rewrite everything so that we see it through a new set of eyes. So allow those thoughts to go through, write them down, because if you don't allow them to go through, then they're going to reprocess again and reprocess again. Write it down, get it off, get it out, that stuff that you pick and you drag. So write it down, answer the 4 questions, or you can say how that brought you gratitude, how you can look on the other side of what they did wrong and say, now this is something that I can turn into a right. Does that make sense to all of you? Oh yeah, so we're talking now about Jason and listening to Jason. Okay, so here we go. So Jason, write down, what is, if you're still with us, what is your favorite way to allow things to go through you? Journaling is magic. Yes, it is magic. I love journaling, and I love journaling first thing in the morning. But here's the thing that people, I'm going to share something that I was ridiculed for, and I'm going to share it with you. It's okay. If you don't believe me, that's okay. I know what's true. When I journal, I wait for the divine to speak to me, because the answers are in us. You know the answer. You just have been taught from day one to ignore your intuition. So I want to encourage you to just say, I know this. Show me the way, or I know I'll find the way. And that's a way to rewrite instead of saying I'm lost, I'm depressed, you're going to get more lost, you're going to get more depressed. You can say, I know I'll find the way. There's a mantra that I say, which is, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am wise, I am love. And every time something happens where I feel less than, that's a quick little mantra. I have other mantras too, but I just want to share that one. But I remember sharing about how when I write and I journal, and I gave a talk on journaling actually, the person made fun of me and everybody laughed. And it was an uncomfortable laugh, but it allowed me to question. I questioned who is that voice in my head? What is that voice? And I stopped journaling for a long time. Words hurt. Bullies hurt. I don't care what anybody say, but it planted a seed of doubt in me. But you know what? Enough of that. That was him, that person. He doesn't hear anything because all he did was talk. He didn't hear anything. So he couldn't accept that in me. So thank you, Jason. Beautiful mantra, simple but yet powerful. Absolutely. I'm sure all of us have a mantra. Bountiful, beautiful, blissful. That's another one that I've been singing, the little song, bountiful, bountiful, beautiful, blissful. I love that one. Okay, so I need to wrap this up because I could be here with you guys for several hours, and it is getting close to the time. I went back to say, please figure out with my sponsors. I have Keep Me Safe Organics. I have which you get 10% off. Liberty Health Share. Learn more about walking away from insurance and embracing your health back, affordable health care, truly affordable. And I want to encourage you to learn more about First Alternative Care for $35 a month. Your entire family is covered if you live in the United States. And you're traveling around even the world, you can still reach out. It's $35 a month, gives you 24/7 family practice, unlimited dermatology, and 3 hours a month of, 3 hours a year of behavioral health counseling. And so check these sponsors out, become a subscriber. Show is changing. We're doing something, the 8th anniversary of the Lillian McDermott radio show, which started in 2000. I started my marketing company in 2010, 2011. On my birthday, I started my radio show. So on May 14th, that's going to be the 8th anniversary. We're going to make some announcements of some of the changes that we're going to be making on the show, / classroom. This is our classroom. And I promise you, I'm going to get a little bit better at reading these things. But when I'm speaking from my heart, I can't, the distractions will stop me and the flow will stop. And, I don't want to stop that, but I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, share this. If you know somebody who's going through a hard time and they want to turn it around from the worst thing that could ever happen to them to the best thing that happened for them, for their growth, for their awakening. Because let me tell you, what is cancer? What is an autoimmune disease? What is, diabetes? What is heart disease? It's an awakening. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and not creating change, you're going to get the same old, same old. So I want us to all think outside the box. I want us to join this classroom, join the tribe, make a commitment to not only subscribe to the website at whenyouneedafriend.com, but to subscribe and follow me on Lillian's Radio Show and at Lillian's Radio Show on Facebook Live and on YouTube. If you want to watch this again, there's the library. And all of you love Jason. And of course, you can watch him, all the shows that he's been on. He's going to be on, I think, in 2 weeks, I believe he's going to be on. And so I'm excited to get him on. And Jason, you can confirm that. I don't know. I can't look at my phone right now. So for those of you what did I say? The #1 fan at the end of April is going to get, hold on a second, hold it. Let me see if I can get to it. Hold on. I'm attached to the microphone right now. I am going to give away, this is one of my favorite books. So it's called Everyday Spirit by Mary Davis. And every day I do a meditation. And it's almost as if I wrote it. It's almost as if like I can go back to some of my articles that I wrote before I even got this book, before I even knew about Mary Davis. And there's a lot of similarities. And that just brings me to the point, we are all one. What happens to you happens to me. Let's support each other. Support the show, support Jason. If you have a venture, just let's all talk about it. Let's all talk about it. Go join the tribe, the Heal Tribe. Let's start doing things to make our body heal naturally. Let's have thoughts. First it's a thought, then it's the feeling, then it's an action. Nip it in the thought, not the butt. Nip it in the thought so that we can create the life that we want. Now, let me look. Yes, we are all one, Tracy. We are all one. And Anne, I am excited that you have joined us. Jason, Tracy, I can go on and on about all of you who have joined us from all over the world for this classroom. This was like a coaching session. I didn't do the song. I didn't do anything. But I do want to do this once in a while. And if you guys like this, for me to do this, then give me the love, give me the thumbs up, share it with people. Again, there's just so much, lip it in the thought. Yeah, that's one of my memes. Jason. Yeah, and for those of you, Jason Stevenson again, check him out at Jason Stevenson Meditation. And I'm trying to remember the other one, Jason. I keep forgetting. You can type it on there on the line. The one that it's you. It's not just your music. It's you. And I'm going blank, and I apologize. Yeah, Tracy's the #1 fan. Would you like that, Tracy? Okay. So for now, let's see. Let me make sure I got through everything that I wanted to get. Well, actually, I just dipped my toe. Life expansion. Let's all go to life expansion as well. And Jason and I, we're going to do some stuff at Life Expansion. I think hopefully soon, if not whenever he's available to do that with me. Did I just speak too soon, Jason? Okay, so I want us all to come out with a gift today. What is that gift? It is to look at whatever it is that you are shamed about, that you have been blaming yourself about. There is a saying, there was a quote in I Bought a Zoo. I don't remember much about the movie, but I love this quote. And I'm going to leave you with this quote. And it's, all it takes is 20 seconds of courage to take the first step. So I want to challenge all of you to take 20 seconds to take the first step, to just muster up 20 seconds of courage, to look at that ugly gift that you just don't want to look at. It could be molestation. It could be abuse. It could be addiction. It could be disease. It could be your own negative thoughts, that the thoughts in your head, the voice in your head tells you how awful you are. And you would never even speak to a child that way. Let's just look at it and write it down. And write down what you want. Figure out how you created it without blame, shame, fault, or duty. And then rewrite it. Rewrite it for what you want. You want to be healthy. You want to be sober. You want to be happily married. You want to be in a healthy relationship. You want to create friendships that last forever. You want to deepen your thoughts, your spirit, your body, release weight, whatever it is, change careers. Whatever it is, just take 20 seconds of courage and say yes to the adventure. Let the adventure begin. And remember that we don't have the dancing right now, but maybe we could dance just a little bit of dancing. Please remember, say yes to adventure and trust that everything will be all right. There is a process in everything. Trust the process. Please remember, I'll be right here tomorrow at 8 in the morning Eastern time. We've got Dr. Furman coming on, and I hope that you can join us. It's going to be a different time, a different hour, and I am looking forward to seeing all of you again. And let's find out. And I hope Ashley, whoever, you got to remind, I'm going to write this down. The #1 fan at the end of the month is going to get Everyday Spirit. And I'm really excited to see who that's going to be. Okay. I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, all the things you are, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. If you like this video, share it, like it, subscribe. Help me grow the classroom. Love you all. Bye.